What is up, guys? Welcome to my trailer breakdown for Arrow Season 6, Episode 23, titled Life Sentence, which is also the season finale of Season 6. Before I start my breakdown, though, make sure to follow me on Twitter for better updates and notifications on my videos, because YouTube sub box isn't really working that well, and as well as daily polls on the Arrowverse. So, with that in mind, let's watch the trailer for Arrow Season 6, Episode 23, titled Life Sentence.
Diaz doesn't go down easy.
This is my city!
There's enough explosives in here to send us into orbit.
You got 5 seconds! 5! Move! 4!
It's a trap!
3!
I'm gonna kill you.
2! 1!
Arrow season finale this Thursday at 9/8 Central on the CW.
Before I talk about anything in the trailer, I want to talk about the title of the episode, because it feels like the trailer and the title are very disconnected. I think the title will be referencing just the last 5 minutes of the episode, while the trailer and the promotional photos show everything from the first 35 minutes. So it's just like the main storyline, and the life sentence just the end of it, because a lot of people speculated that Oliver will be sentenced to life in this episode, which is very possible. It's what the season has been building to for a while. In the last episode, Agent Watson found out, or didn't even find out. She basically got clarified. She knew basically, but she clarified by Oliver himself that he is the Green Arrow. So that's probably what's going to lead to him being sentenced to life. First of all, if this was the last season, which it wasn't, but it could have been, that would have been a very, very unsatisfying ending to a show, especially a show like Arrow. But unfortunately, it is not the last season, and we will get another season. But I'm not so sure that the life sentence is talking about Oliver. Obviously, that's what everything is pointing to, but I'm not so sure. I think it might be actually talking about Ricardo Diaz, just because that would be a nice ending to his whole storyline. At the beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure he just got out of jail. That was his whole character description, somebody who just got out of jail. So it would be a nice ending to his whole storyline. But on the other hand, he's not a villain that I could see ever returning in the future, so they're probably gonna kill him off. But then again, I saw other villains returning in the future, like Ra's al Ghul. I thought he would return in the future just because he's such a major villain, but he hasn't. He appeared once, but in the past, on Legends of Tomorrow, Damien Darhk, they killed him off, and he still returned in the future. Prometheus, I did not really expect them to kill him off just because he's such a great villain. But even though they did kill him off, he did return as an hallucination, or a hallucination. But Ricardo Diaz, for some reason, is not a character I see them bringing back in the future, just because he's not a very strong villain or character in general. Strong, I don't mean physically strong, I mean as just a character. He's not a very good character, and not a very good main villain, so I don't see him returning. But he doesn't need a return. It would be a very satisfactory ending to the season where Oliver defeats him, but not killing him, but actually putting him in jail, and we never see him again after that. It also might prove to Samandra Watson that he's not a killer, and I think that's the reason she wants to put him in jail, is because he's a killer, I'm pretty sure, and the Green Arrow is a killer. So maybe him not killing Ricardo Diaz will prove to her that he's not a killer, and Ricardo Diaz will go to jail, and he will not. But at the same time, I think the more predictable route would be for him to go to jail. But it's not really the more predictable route. It's actually less predictable. But for some reason, that's what everybody is saying will happen. And I'm not saying it won't happen, but I think that there are other options for what will happen, and we'll just have to wait and see on this Thursday to find out which one is going to happen. Maybe none of them are going to happen, but that's why would the episode be called Life Sentence. So the life sentence is referencing either Oliver going to jail or Ricardo Diaz going to jail. We'll just have to wait and see which one it is. There is this one line from the trailer that might get me a little nervous to how this season finale will go down. First of all, just going off the trailer, the season finale doesn't seem to be all too epic. But something that really makes me worried, but it doesn't really make me worried, it just makes me feel like they're really reusing storylines. Oh, it's not really a storyline. What I meant is they're reusing plot devices, and the plot device in this episode seems to be explosives, which Renee says these explosives can go off any second, and there's so many of them. He says something similar to that, but that is so similar to season 5 finale, where the explosives were the main plot device of the episode, along with William. William was the thing that pushed the plot. It's why Oliver went to Lian Yu, because because Adrian had him there, but the explosives were a huge part of that, and it was awesome the way they handled that, the way they ended the episode with that explosion. But if they redo that in this episode with the explosives, that may feel a little just like reusing storylines or plot devices, but I don't think that will be true. I think that this room right here, while I don't have any idea what this room is, I think it won't be like a huge part of the episode. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I'm not sure, but I really hope it isn't, just because that would be reusing a huge plot device from the last season's season finale, so they really should not, or they probably should not do that, and I'm hoping they aren't. So 7 seconds into the trailer, we see the shot of Diaz jumping at Oliver, and I really hope in this scene right here we have a like 5-minute fight scene, because so far we haven't had that many. We had like one fight scene between those two that lasted more than a minute. It was the organized fight scene in episode, I think, 20. I'm pretty sure it's episode 20, the episode Shifting Alliances, which was 20. Yeah, it was 20. And you saw these two fight, and they fought. Oliver won, and then Diaz cheated. And that was the only fight scene that lasted more than a minute that we saw. Then we saw another fight scene in episode 22, but that did not last a very long time. So I am actually pretty excited for this fight scene. Hopefully, it really fleshes out Diaz's fighting ability, which the first 22 episodes should have done. But hopefully, this fight scene, we really see him really go at it at Oliver, and this time he doesn't. He does cheat throughout the entire time, but Oliver is also, so we will get a different perspective on a fight between them. But I am excited to see a fight between them, just because we haven't seen much of it this season, which is a disappointing thing about the season. But either way, for this season finale, I am excited to see this fight scene between the two. It's very reminiscent for me of like every season so far. We had a big fight scene between like Oliver and the villain. There was one, and this one seems to be on maybe like a bridge, I think, which is the same thing. I'm pretty sure in season 3, Ra's al Ghul and Oliver fought on a bridge, but I'm not. This is either a bridge or just a highway, but it definitely is something like that. But either way, I'm definitely excited for these two to fight and finally like go really at each other, with both of them in quotation marks cheating like he did in episode 20. Okay, something I want to talk about for this episode is Quentin Lance and the fact that he is 100% going to die. I would bet so much money on him dying, just because so many things point to it. One thing is that Paul Blackthorne is leaving the show after this season, at least as a series regular, which means he will not be in every episode and probably will never. He's not even a recurring character. He's been cast on a different show, so he probably will never return on Arrow in the future. If there are future seasons past 7, that he will never return as, like, he may return as a guest star, but he's not a guest. He's not going to be a series regular or a recurring character. So that's one thing. The second thing is that Sarah Lance is going to appear in this episode. We don't see her at all in the promotional photos or the trailer or the synopsis for the episode. So it's definitely, I bet she's clearly gonna have a very small role in the episode, and it's probably just gonna return to mourn her father or go to her father's funeral. And the third thing is, in this trailer and the promotional photos, first of all, in the promotional photos we see Diaz and Quentin meeting up, and I bet he will probably kill Diaz will probably kill him there. And we see in this trailer, we see Quentin all bloodied up hugging Laurel, probably about to die. We see Laurel very angry throughout the promotional photos and the trailer. So those are the big 3 things that point to him dying, which that's almost definitely going to be the big death of the season, Quentin Lance, which is I don't know, I don't really know how to feel about that. I don't think he really adds much to the show at this point, so I think that his departure will be fitting. But I think they could have just made him like leave Star City and never return. They didn't really need to kill him off. I mean, they've killed off so many Lances so far. They've killed off Sarah Lance 2 times. They've killed off Laurel once. They've killed off so many Lances. They don't really need to kill off anymore. But everything is pointing to him being killed by Diaz in this episode, probably just to up the stakes and for him to leave the show, which he is doing at this episode. This will be the last episode. He is a series regular, so many things point to him dying, and I definitely think that will happen in this episode. Well, not even definitely, I am 100% sure. I would bet so much money on it, like I said earlier. So Quentin's gonna die. Let me know in the comments down below if you are like sad about the fact that Quentin is leaving, because I'm not really sure how I feel. So this shot right here is near the end of the trailer. It's basically at the end of the trailer, but there is like the split second afterwards, but it feels like it'll be the end of the episode. But I don't think this shot will be the end of the episode. I think it will be at the beginning of the episode, and I think it will follow directly after what happened or how the last episode ended, with Oliver saying to Samantha Watson that he is the Green Arrow, which I already mentioned previously in this video itself. But I definitely think that since this it just feels like a different mood from the rest of the trailer. It definitely fits within the trailer the way they edited it, but it looks like they're in a different place than all the other places in the trailer, and everybody else in the background doesn't seem at all panicked. They seem really calm, so I think it'll either happen at the end of the episode or at the beginning. And if I had to choose, I'd say at the beginning, just because of how the last episode ended. And I think this shot right here will be the shot where Oliver is probably revealed to the entire world that he is the Green Arrow, which is probably the second thing Samantha Watson wanted. Remember, she wanted two things: one, for him to tell her that he is the Green Arrow, and two, we didn't find out yet, but it's almost definitely for him to tell everybody else that he is a Green Arrow, which is why later early in the trailer we see him in the Green Arrow costume with Samantha Watson, but not wearing a mask. So it seems like everybody knows who he is at this point. Probably, at least we know that Samantha Watson does. But we also see that he has the same scars on his face, and I know for a fact, or not for a fact, but basically for a fact, that trailer, that point in the trailer where he was talking to Samantha Watson about how Diaz doesn't go down easy, that's near the beginning of the episode, and he has the same, not scars, but blood on his face than here in this shot. So it's probably like right directly after this shot. So I definitely think that this will be at the beginning of the episode where he is probably revealed to the world as the Green Arrow. So I said in this video already, like, one small remark, and I didn't say I'm going to talk about it later because I didn't think I was going to, but this trailer definitely does not feel like an epic trailer. This trailer doesn't portray the episode like an epic, emotional, and awesome episode. It just doesn't, and maybe that's because it won't be, maybe just because of the way the trailer is edited, but I feel like the reason that's true is because the season did a pretty bad job at building up the rivalry between Green Arrow and Ricardo Diaz, maybe even worse than any other season so far. Obviously worse than season 1, 2, and 5, but it's possibly worse than season 3 and 4. Not the season in general, but the rivalry between Oliver and Ricardo Diaz felt really, really manufactured at times, and it didn't feel personal enough, in my opinion, which may be why these fight scenes in this episode and just the action in this episode, or the trailer, the way the trailer portrays it, isn't all too exciting, in my opinion. Like, every other season didn't have any more to it. Like, no other season finale had more to it than the main villains having a fist fight and like other things added to it. Like in season 1 there was the earthquake machine. In season 2 there was the army and they had to cure them. In season 3 they had to make a cure for the Omega virus, I think it was called. In season 4 there was nothing, which is, I think there were nuclear bombs, but that was such a small thing, I don't really remember. Season 5 is, this is why I love the season finale so much. It did something completely different than any other season so far, and then season 6 went back to whatever every other season so far did, which is like something to do with the city at the season finale, and then the two villains fighting, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It worked in season 1 and 2, but then it got a little boring in season 2 or season 3 and 4. But then they went away from it in season 5, and it was amazing. Definitely the best episode, season finale at least, of the Arrowverse. No, definitely the best episode ever in the Arrowverse so far. But this season seems to be going back to what Arrow has done in the past, which got boring, which is, like I said, just something to do with the city and the two villains fighting. And this season might be the worst case of that in terms of the season finale, because, like I said, it did not build up the rivalry between the two main characters, the villain and the hero, to not well at all. And that just brings it back to a big problem with the season, which was the first 14 episodes of Caden James being the main villain, and that was, or 15 really, episodes of Caden James being the main villain, which is most of the season, and that definitely hurt that build up for the season finale. There just wasn't enough episodes for Oliver and Ricardo Diaz to interact, to build up their rivalry, to make it an impactful, emotional, and awesome season finale, which is why this trailer doesn't really make me all too excited for the episode, and it's why I'm not really crazy excited for the season finale, which, I remember season 5 I was extremely excited just because the rivalry between Oliver and Prometheus and Agent Chase was built up so incredibly well, better than it ever has in the past, even better than Slade, in my opinion, which is a high bar to pass, but it did. And then this season didn't build the rivalry well enough, even though there was like a 5-episode winning streak of episodes higher than a 9-point score, which was great. It was not because of the rivalry between Oliver and Diaz. That wasn't like the standout of this season, which usually the standout of the better seasons are the rivalries between the main hero and the main villain, which is, thinking about it, that's what makes the season, which is why this season is very troubled, which is the best way to put it, because the rivalry is just not there. So in conclusion to this whole rant, I'm not as excited for this episode as I should be, because like I said so many times already, which is like the biggest problem with the season, along with the fact that nobody was killed off in the explosion from Season 5 in Season 6, Episode 1. The biggest problem with the season is the rivalry between Oliver and Diaz was not fleshed out enough, even though there was like a 5-episode winning streak where Arrow had every single episode higher than Episode 9. It wasn't because of the rivalry between Oliver and Diaz that those episodes were so good. And then there was Episode 22, which kind of barely broke the streak, but it still did. But that's a big problem with the season, and one of the big reasons I'm not all too excited for this episode. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very excited for this episode, but I'm not as excited as I probably should be. But anyway, let me know what you think about this trailer in the comments down below. Let me know if you agree with any of my points. Let me know if you think this season did not develop Diaz and Oliver's rivalry well enough, and if you disagree with me, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And if you think Quentin will actually die, what you think about that. Like I said, every single point I made, let me know what you think about those points in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.